Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today. It is such a great honor. So let me start my talk by bringing up a very familiar scene to many of us here. It is a moment during a classroom or a meeting, and when the speaker asks any volunteers to share, and then suddenly everyone becomes so interested in their shoes or the ceiling. Is that right? That used to be me. I was the queen of blending in. Hi, I'm Uyên. And here's something I used to believe for a very long time, that if I stay quiet, I stay safe. Safe from judgment, safe from conflict, and safe from embarrassing myself in the public. Growing up in a traditional Asian household, I was convinced that staying quiet meant staying away from the problem, and I should only speak when I know for sure that my words would not make anyone uncomfortable. So I always kept my thoughts to myself. But as I grew older, I started to realize the cost of that safety. It is the quiet fading of my identity, my voice, and my dreams. And let me tell you, while I got really good at smiling and nodding, I also got really good at wondering, what if I just spoken up? There are several turning points in my life, and most of them did not come from staying safe. They came the moment I chose to speak up, not loudly, but honestly. Let me take you back to the late 1990s. This was me as a kid. Apparently, my happy face looked like I was solving a really hard math problem. But yes, I loved singing, and I dreamed of performing. And I got to live that passion throughout my kindergarten years. Until primary school, my mom told me that music would distract me from studying. So she banned me from everything related to music. And I said nothing. I just let it go. Because I thought being a good daughter meant being quiet. I do not talk back to my mom. Years passed. The sadness of losing music stayed with me until secondary school. I finally couldn't take it anymore. So I came to my mom, of course, with a trembling voice. I expressed myself to her. I told her how sad I was, how music was important to me. And what made me speak up at that time, it was not courage. I was surely shaky standing in front of my mom, but it was a pain of losing something I loved. And with that simple 10-year-old mind, I thought, if I stay quiet now, I might lose the one passion that filled my days, the one thing that I could not just stop thinking about, and I did not want to let it go. And to my surprise, my mom listened to me, and she agreed for me to continue performing. And it turns out that speaking up was not as scary as I thought. And I also learned one more thing, that being a good kid did not have to mean being silent. It means being honest to your parents. And that tiny moment was the very first time that I stepped into discomfort. And it changed me. And that was not the only time I chose to speak up. Years later, after university, I worked at a 5-star hotel, but I was at the same time secretly seeking for a scholarship for my master's degree abroad, because I really wanted to broaden my knowledge and my perspective from a foreign country. And when I got one scholarship from Sydney, Australia, I was over the moon. Until my family, they reminded me of the vision for me at that stage of life. It was working, marrying, and settling down, the traditional path. And I, once again, had to face the invisible rule that I had to follow tradition, I had to keep silent, and I had to listen to my parents. And my parents, they truly loved me with their whole heart, and they simply just wanted the best for me. But I was the only one who knew what is best for myself. So I remember telling my parents that I know your ultimate goal is for me to be happy, but if I stay quiet now and do what you want me to do, I will not be happy for sure in the future. And that was when something shifted. My parents, they finally understood, and they gave me their blessing to study abroad. Fast forward, I was in Australia, new country, new life, new everything. 2 months in, I was invited to the scholarship ceremony, and the college asked me to be the speaker to share my story of the journey to the scholarship during the event. You thought I was excited? I was not. All I thought was, this is definitely too much for me. People will judge me the moment I get on that stage and deliver a speech. They would barely understand my poor spoken English. So I decided to hide, to keep silent. You heard it right. I skipped my own scholarship ceremony. But you know what? Silence may protect you from embarrassment, but it also robs you of your voice, your chance, your story. Staying quiet made me feel safe for one night, but the regret stayed much, much longer than that. And it reminded me of all the other moments I had let silence win. A few months later, when the second scholarship ceremony of the year came, the college was kind to ask me the second time to be the speaker. I was still terrified, but at this time, the fear of missing out on my own story was bigger than the fear of being judged. So I dared to say yes. And of course, all the worries came to reality. It was a room full of strangers, all eyes on me. My voice shook, my accent was super heavy, but I showed up. And that time, I did not just show up to share my story. I stepped out of my comfort zone to prove to myself that courage begins the moment I choose to use my own voice. At 25, I came back to Vietnam with a master's degree in hand. Life was so smooth until it wasn't. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Nothing prepares you for that. And only at that moment, it hit me that health had been my biggest comfort zone. And trust me, I had no intention to step out of it, but I had to. And that was when I understand one more thing, that stepping out of your comfort zone is not always an intentional, a brave choice. Sometimes you do not choose it, but it chooses you. And all I had to do at that time was accept the truth and move forward with it. And lucky for me, the condition was not too bad. One surgery and regular checkups keep it under control. But for a very long time after that, I kept silent about my diagnosis, afraid of pity, afraid of judgment. And the more I tried to hide it, the more it felt like the illness was controlling my whole mind. I was smiling outside, yet suffocating inside. And that was when I felt the urge to speak up, to let it out. So I started talking, first to my close friends, and then to other people who were going through the same fight. And by sharing, I connected with more people, and I helped them to feel less alone. And through those conversations, I found myself healing too. I used to work for university in Da Nang City for 5 years, supporting Vietnamese students with international exchange programs and coordinated events that connected ASEAN youth. And I saw the same pattern in many of my students. They choose silence to feel safe. They would stay quiet until they are sure that their ideas would be accepted. They would stay quiet to keep the harmony of the team, even though they were hurt. So I saw my younger self in them, and I started sharing with them my stories, just like I'm sharing with you today. And I did not talk about any big awards or any career milestones. I wanted them to focus on one thing only, that is to be honest with themselves. Because I know how painful it is to lie to yourself just to feel fit in. And when you allow yourself to speak your truth, other things will grow naturally. I understand that speaking up to yourself, to your family, or to the society is not easy. and it will never be, especially in cultures where we value harmony and respect so much. But if we never share our thoughts, we lose the chance to make things happen, to make things better for ourselves, for our teams, and for our communities. So here are what I now know. Firstly, outside of your comfort zone is not always a storm. Sometimes it's where you finally meet a new version of yourself that feels more you. It will sure be uncomfortable, but it is also clarifying. Secondly, you don't need a big leap to start. Most of the time, it just starts with one honest question. Is it silence giving me peace? Or is it creating more noise inside? And if it's the second one, maybe it's time for you to speak up. And lastly, you are not being judged as much as you think. People, they are not watching you as closely as your anxiety tells you. And when you realize that, you are free to try, to talk, and to fail just as you are. Because when one of us dare to speak up, we light something up in ourselves and in other people who are watching, and maybe they are waiting for the permission to do the same. So let me leave you with one question today. It is, what part of your life is asking for your voice but still waiting in silence? Thank you very much.